to Don't Feed the Gondolas. In a week when hundreds of people around the country lost their jobs, there was, however, some good news for Dún Laoghaire, as reported in the free sheet newspaper, The Southside People. Mount Mary & Company Biotrin Holdings plc will also be taking on 17 staff in the new year, thanks to an investment of £3. With Brendan O'Connor tonight, a comedian and actor who has controversially admitted a penchant for wearing women's underwear while on television. It's Michelle Reid. And with Dara O'Brien, an actor known to you all for playing a lecherous drunk. Unfortunately for us, though, he is a method actor. So we've had to spend all afternoon feeding him coffee and keeping him away from the researchers. You know him as Bella Doyle, but to the police, he's known as Jim Bartley. Our first round is called Celebrity Secrets. What happens here is that each of our contestants will be given certain objects. Those objects are clues to reveal an amazing fact about a well-known person. Our contestants have to guess what that fact is. Brendan, you go first. Your celebrity in this instance is Bono, and the fact about him is something that happened a very long time ago. So we have a bit of VT from U2. This is actually their first appearance on RTE as U2, so have a look at this. Now, obviously, as you can see, this is U2 when they were a Bay City Rollers tribute band. Ah, you look at Larry Mullen there. Now, this is how young they were. Look, there's sweets in his back pocket there. Ah, that's just so sweet. Ah.
Sean, you will have noticed as well that Bono had a toilet brush on his head.
Yeah.
Which actually, it came in very handy years later when Bono got his head firmly lodged up his arse.
Controversial. So, Brendan, you're going first anyway, after you've made friends with Bono. What are your two objects? You've got a postcard there from Spain and a piece of dog poo.
Yeah.
So, what does that tell you about Bono?
Well, I get the poo bit because apparently, you know the way Paul McGuinness is known as the fifth member of U2? Mm-hmm. Well, Bono is referred to as the third member of U2. But Spain, I'm not sure. Would it be that in Spain, the Spanish, Bono is the Spanish for dog shit? much the way that in Ireland, the word Bono is synonymous with horse shit.
Well, I'll give you a point because you're never going to be let into a U2 gig ever again. So the real answer actually is that when Bono was a young fellow, he threw dog poo at his Spanish teacher. If she'd hung on to that poo, it'd be worth a fortune now. Michelle, your well-known person is Dermot Desmond.
Hello.
And we do have some VT of Dermot Desmond, who appearing recently on RTE, and here he is on People in Need. Quite appropriately, actually, really. He has helped out a few people in need. As you can see there, Dermot Desmond is a former World War I pilot. Obviously, Dermot Desmond is in the news this week because of revelations that he made various contributions to the Haughey family and to Charles Haughey himself. He, of course, denies strenuously that he got any favours from Fianna Fáil in return for the money.
Can we just, you might like to know, Dermot Desmond, this is completely true, has never lost a libel case ever in his life.
Right.
Ever lost one. Enjoy yourselves. I'll see you in the next round. Goodbye. Not saying anything.
Pointing that out and giving him the idea. So, Michelle, it's your go. Dermot Desmond, your two things are a fluffy dog and a straw.
Fluffy dog and a straw. And that was in People in Need, that clip.
That was People in Need,
which is known
yes.
as Taoiseachs in Need now, I believe.
Yes, that's them.
Okay. Come on, I'm a girl. Okay, so I've got a fluffy dog and a straw, and I think these are linked to a new scandal that's possibly about to break about Dermot Desmond, who is behind EU leaked funds which have caused a dog mountain in Europe. And what's happening now, of course, is a lot of European drug dealers are employing the dogs, strapping dope on them and making them swim across the sea using the straw to breathe. And so basically what he's done is he's swapped one scandal for another, the cash for favours for the hash for ravers.
Oh, very good.
Whereas according to Eamon Dunphy in yesterday's Ireland on Sunday, you can't get good coke in Dublin anyway.
That's true, yes, he did say that.
And listen, you should watch what you say about Eamon Dunphy, because I know the person who listens to his radio programme.
Really?
I'm sorry.
How fascinating.
And apparently, after last week when you made that phone call to Radio Ireland, right? On Tuesday on his radio show, Eamon Dunphy said that he was going to get you.
Oh my God.
And if Eamon Dunphy gets you, you'll never work again in this town. Because you won't need to work again in this town.
Well, back to the quiz show, which is going on here. The actual answer is that Dermot Desmond once had a franchise for slush puppies in Ireland, though he strenuously denies that he got any favours from the puppies, of course.
Yeah, Sean, I was closest though, wasn't I?
You were close. I'll give you a point for rhyming.
Okay.
So you don't Jim, your go.
Yes, right.
Your celebrity is Gareth O'Callaghan, who controversially packed in his job as the presenter of his Radio 1 show that he shared with Gabo. He claimed that he was excluded from making any editorial input into the programme. We have some VT of Gareth doing the Radio 1 programme. Here he is in the specially built studio that they built for him in the Aran Islands. Just so we'd be involved with everything there. Lovely looking lad there.
I tell you what,
yeah, you've got a hard hat with Ted Free Zone written on it, and it's St. Bridget's Cross.
Right, you know, and it's like I need this in the pub actually, really, right? You want to see the places I drink in, and St. Bridget's Cross, and I can only say putting the sort of hard hat and St. Bridget's Cross together. I mean, he says Christianity and the heart. I said born again builder, you know.
Yeah, that's your guess then. He's a born again builder.
I think he's a born again something. He's a born again, it is Christian, and when you're talking about a site, you're building something new. So it's a born again something, right? I think probably born again DJ.
Born again
broadcaster.
DJ. But born again would certainly be the key word there.
Yeah,
that's the point you're trying to get across.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So, well, that's a good answer. Unfortunately, it's absolutely wrong. The answer is
the hat. It's the wrong size.
The answer is actually that Gareth O'Callaghan studied for the priesthood for a year before he became a Trinity DJ. Now keep that in mind, though, that he was a former seminarian. He's a very talented guy. He also wrote a novel, which was published last year. Did very well. There it is there. It's called Dare to Die, a thriller with attitude. And especially for you tonight, we're going to read out a passage from the novel. To listen. Her legs were spread out across his, and her gorgeous, rocking was the first thing he could see. Her wet full view, aching to be filled with his throbbing. Now,
what I want to know is.
Well, obviously it won't be that dirty for you viewers at home because we bleeped out all those words, as you know by now. But the studio audience did hear it unbleeped. So if you'd like tickets for the show, right into
You know that he gave up the priesthood for the same reason he gave up the radio show, in as much he was sick to death of people telling him that he'd never replace God.
I think, excuse me, no, I really have to say this, right? Sorry, just give me back my trousers. This party's getting too dirty for me, all right?
Finally, Dara, your go. Your celebrity is the only living victim of the famine, Sinead O'Connor. And we do actually have footage to demonstrate this because there's a very little known fact about Sinead that she actually used to be 18 stone. But have a look at this VT. Here she is now. Look at the trousers are hanging off her there. She's having convulsions there and her hair all fell out because obviously no food and it was having a very bad effect. So I'm not having a very nice time there, poor Sinead.
I love that footage because if you look at her clothes, the stitching on them is so bad. It's obviously her mother made them and told her like, hey, no, I can't buy new clothes for you. Which is why she always has this big anger against her parents.
That's obvious, really, yeah. So what props do you have? You have a bra and a phone.
I was sent a fairly standard phone and this, which is quite pretty. And
on you.
The only thing I could...
It's a bit small for you, though.
It is really, to be honest, actually. Not really
You're
my
a
cup
D-cup,
size.
aren't you? Yeah.
Or my colour, really. More of a scarlet man. But the only thing I think of, because, like, again, poor family and all that, like, is that she needed one of these, so she got one of these, and what she'd do is, if I don't know, you'd think you could be able to undo one of these by now. She used to speak into one of the cups, right? And then she'd enter some Blue Peter. The sound would travel down the elastic, and somebody else would listen on the other cup. Right? Yeah. People used to love getting phone calls off Sinead O'Connor with that, like.
Well,
I'll give you a point for creating a lovely image.
Thank you.
But unfortunately, it's absolutely wrong. The real answer was that Sinead O'Connor used to be a kissogram. So after that round, the scores are that Darrow's team got 1 point, Brendan's team got 2 points.
That's the main thing.
This week was the launch of Schizophrenia Awareness Week. And the week was ended off with the revelation that scientists have identified a new strain of the disease. The symptoms include constant complaining and wanting everything your own way. They've called it being a Dublin taxi driver.
It wasn't actually my schizophrenia. I just drove it for another fella.
Time now for more celebrity spotting in our observation round. We'll show each team a clip where hopefully they may be able to spot a well-known person in a place where you normally wouldn't expect to see them, on the Jerry Kelly show, for example. Brendan and Michelle, you go first. Have a look at this clip and tell us, can you see anyone famous? There it is. It's normal after-party drinks on a GAA match. We're all running around hugging each other and waving their arms in the air.
I think that there's a kind of a lost-looking guy going through the middle there, and I think that he looks like Vincent Brown.
I saw him. Yes.
Oh, you saw him
now.
now.
It's presumably Vincent Brown walking around the field looking for some dirt to dig up, or maybe he's run out of stuff about Charlie Haughey, so he's looking for another harmless old man to pick a fight with. But certainly no one his own size or age.
Yeah. Well, let's have a look at the VT and find out. And there's someone who looks like Vincent Brown. Obviously, he's trying to blend into the crowd. He's avoiding the guy with the writ from Dermot Desmond. Look, where is he?
That's that guy.
So you get a point for that. Well done. Dara and Jim, have a look at this clip and tell us who's in it.
There's...
There he is. There's Carl Lewis. Big jump in slow motion. Great the way you can do that. And there he is, landing on his arse. Oh, that's sore. Oh, I have a pain in my head now after that. No, I haven't.
Over to you.
Thank you very much.
You should know this.
Right. You should actually, yeah. It's Jim MacDonald, isn't it?
It's Jim MacDonald. I think you might be right there. Let's have a look at the VT and find out. Oh, I hate having to do this a second time. Oh, my arse is sore. There's Jim MacDonald in the background. Yes, the well-known wife beater Jim MacDonald there.
And if you look very closely, he's actually saying, "Oh, what about you there, wee Carl?"
Great jump there, wee Carl.
Who is Jim MacDonald?
He's the Bella of England.
So after that round, the scores are they got 1 point each. We have to go for a break, but when we return, CJ Hoy talks about his recipe for being a successful government minister. See you in a few minutes.
What you have to do, as long as people see that you're... What you have to do, as long as people see that you're being honest in what you're doing. See that you're being honest in what you're doing. You're being honest in what you're doing.
Welcome back. And speaking of CJ, another allegation made this week was that in 1968, while he was Minister for Finance, Charles Haughey bought a 130-acre stud farm. 1968 was also the year he introduced tax exemptions for stud farms. I bet a lot of horses got screwed that year. Not to mention all the taxpayers. Time now for State of the Nation, where we test how much in touch our contestants are with the ordinary stud farm owner on the street. Given the week that was in it, we went north. It's Friday in Belfast, and Belfast, as they say, is booming. Well, of course, it's not booming so much anymore since the peace process started and all that. In fact, the peace process is in a wee bit of trouble today, so Mo Mullum dropped in for a nice spot of tea with a few psychopathic killers down in the Maze prison. And while we were here, we thought we'd show you some of the lovely tourist spots you can find here in Belfast. Here's an example of folk art on the Shankhill Road. There's some nice men in black doing some part-time construction work, and of course also stressing the need to stay good and warm when you're out shooting people. Is that okay? Let's get the fuck out of here. And here we are on the Falls Road with another of Belfast's amazing tourist attractions. Here's a very colourful mural depicting well-known nationalist political prisoners, including, as you can see, Sigourney Weaver and Bob Marley. Here I am outside a traditional Chinese restaurant on the Falls Road. Of course, there might be Chinese, but they're not taking any chances. So there you are. We went up to Belfast. You'll notice that when we were on the Shankhill Road, we bravely took the RTE thing off the microphone. So our first question is for you, Dara. It relates to a story that was actually on Phoblacht this week about a chap called Liam Averill who escaped from the Maze prison about 3 or 4 weeks ago. Now, Liam Averill escaped from the Maze prison dressed as a woman. So the question we asked was, if the men all dressed up as women, would the Maze prison be a nicer place? We asked the question of this man. Did he say A, well, it's about time they brightened the place up? B, are you taking that piss, you lanky bastard? Or C, isn't that Liam Neeson's idea? I don't really get that one. So what do you think?
I don't think it was B because we just have footage of you legging it down the Falls Road. Sorry, mate. I'd say it was the first one.
You'd say it was the first one. It's
What was the
about
first
time
one
they
again?
brightened the place up.
Yeah, okay.
Let's have a look at the VT and find out. If the men all dressed up as women in the Maze prison, do you think it would be a nicer place?
That's Liam Neeson's idea, isn't it? Did you hear him? No. He says every man should spend a year of their lives in a what do you call it? A frock or a skirt, and that would solve
I didn't even know what it
the world's
was.
problem.
All right, cheers. No points for that, I'm afraid.
What's that in his back?
It was a bit dodgy. It's a giant violin case walking around Belfast. Slightly suggestive, really, I would have thought. We actually, just staying with Liam Averill for just a second, we do have a picture of Liam Averill dressed as a woman. Now, I want to point out that we didn't write that joke. That joke was sent in by a Mr. E. Harris from Dublin. Jim, it's your go. This week, Foreign Affairs Minister David Andrew met David Irvine, the leader of the Progressive Unionist Party. Mr. Andrew said he was going to address some of the concerns expressed by the pup in recent weeks, which would seem a wee bit impolite, I would have thought. So the question we asked was, if junior members of the PUP are called puppies, what should we call junior members of Sinn Féin? We asked this woman, did she say A, evil man, B, good man, or C, baby Feiners?
I would see said evil man.
Let's have a look at the VT and find out. Can I ask you a quick question, please?
Pardon?
Can I ask you a quick question? If young members of the PUP are called puppies, what should we call young members of Sinn Féin?
Good man.
Good man.
Good man.
So no points for that.
No points for
Now, of course, somebody who was very involved in the peace process at the start was Albert Reynolds, who's now embroiled in a new controversy because he's been appointed Marshal of the St. Patrick's Day Parade in New York. Now, the chaplain of that parade, Monsignor Tom Leonard, doesn't want Albert to do it because Albert Reynolds attended a conference in Washington a couple of months ago that was organised by the Moonies. Apparently, Monsignor Leonard said that he wanted nothing to do with that cult. Oh, sorry, maybe that's a misprint. Sorry about that.
Apparently, Albert only went along to the Moonies because he thought they were a show band and he could book them.
We'd like to thank the Reverend Moon for the loan of the hall.
Brendan, we thought we'd be a little bit positive when we were up there, so we thought we'd ask this question. Couldn't nationalists and unionists sort out their differences with a game of hurling? We asked the question of this young man, oh, no, not that young, obviously. Did he say A, we'd beat the bollocks off them? B, hurling, that papish game? Or C, something we couldn't quite understand, but we think it included the word regatta?
C.
You think it was C, something that included the word regatta? Let's have a look and find out. Excuse me, sir, could I ask you a non-controversial question? Do you think nationalists and unionists could settle their differences with a game of hurling?
Oh, a bit of bollocks, sort of.
So if you want to write in and tell us where you guess we asked that question, you could win a car. Finally, Michelle, back to the Maze prison again. They let in reporters during the week before Mo Mullen went in, and there were allegations that the prisoners there have access to drinks and drink and drugs, which they're vehemently denying. In fact, one of them said that they're all vegans and health fanatics, as opposed to just fanatics, obviously. So the question we asked was, should vegans be separated from the other prisoners in the Maze? We asked this young man, did he say A, something we couldn't understand that included the word kneecaps? B, I didn't know Mr. Spock was in the Maze? Or C, give them all meat?
I think he said I didn't know Mr. Spock was in the Maze.
You say I didn't know Mr. Spock was in the Maze, you think he's that witty by
Yes.
looking at him?
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. Let's have a look at the VT and find out. Can I ask you a quick, non-controversial question, sir? Do you think the vegans should be separated from the other prisoners in the Maze?
The vegans? Give them plenty of meat.
So fantastic. They're all tremendous judges of character, and for that they all got no points each. Now, when we were in Belfast, it's a very common thing on the streets of Belfast for TV crews to be doing vox pops. So we ran into another TV crew doing a vox pop, so we thought we'd ask them a question. Can we ask a quick question? Do you think the vegans should be separated from the other prisoners in the maze?
Absolutely, might stop them eating each other.
Prisoners in the maze eating each other. Sounds a bit like a Gareth O'Callaghan book to me, doesn't it? Anyway, some good news for Limerick this week. The city has announced plans to build its own Temple Bar area. It'll be called the Iron Bar across the back of the head area. Time now for our final round, 60 seconds of facts. Each team has to answer a minute of questions on the week's events. They get a point for the correct answer, or 2 if they can get a titter out of our studio audience. Shouldn't be that hard. Brendan and Michelle, you go first. Your 60 seconds of facts starts now. What is Peter Stringfellow hoping to become?
HIV positive.
I'll give you a point for that. What did Noel Gallagher do to George Harrison's son on a flight from New York?
Ate his heart.
He got him drunk, won't give you a point for that. Dozens of travellers blocked off a road in Dublin for 2 hours last week in an attempt to get Finglas Council to provide them with what?
Money. Few pence for me.
Give a point for controversy.
Children, please.
Electricity and toilets. A suggestion that Dublin should get 4,000 new taxis was described as what by the Taxi Drivers Federation?
The words of Satan.
Outrageous.
It wasn't actually his Satan, he was driving it for somebody else.
Okay, you remember that. A former world snoring champion has cured himself by giving up what?
Muff diving.
No points for filth. What did Bono, the Spice Girls and Mick Jagger fail to get into? No filthy answers, please.
The Girl Guides.
Jerry Spice's knickers. They all fitted in except Jerry Spice.
I'll give you one for that. Dara and Jim, if your loins are girded for action, your 60 seconds of facts starts now. What was recently rumoured to be going on in the maze?
Somebody was actually kept in prison. Woo!
Unbelievable.
Somebody actually stayed in.
Samba lessons, I think.
Yeah, raves is what's going on there. What is Dermot Desmond going to do to McGill?
Oh, nothing that Vincent Brown won't achieve anyway in about 6 months' time.
He's going to sue them. A dog called Pixie recently won what?
A libel case against Eamon Dunphy. This is a walking cash machine.
There are 60 million what in the US?
People. People called Biff and Todd and Chad.
Stray cats. What couple would most Americans like to watch making love?
Ellen DeGeneres and her girlfriend.
I'd pay cash money for that, but no points. Biker Percy Armitage refused to give a blood sample to police due to a fear of what?
Getting arrested, probably. Yeah.
Needles, no points for that, sorry. Fair City publican Kay McCoy is reported to be going to have a sex romp with who?
Who, what? Yeah, with the father, Malachy.
Yes,
Malachy,
Good
you were here.
The final scores are that in a very close-fought contest, Dara's team have 11 points, Brendan's team have 12 points, and there they split 20. So that's it. We'll be back next week in just about the same position, thanks to Brendan's guest, Michelle Reid. And with Dara this week, Jim Bartley. But as we go, here's a phone call we made earlier to the office of the Deputy Leader of the DUP, Peter Robinson. We wanted to make our own suggestion as to how to bring a little more harmony to Northern Ireland. Thanks for helping us feed the gondolas. Good night.
Good afternoon, Peter Robinson's office.
Oh, hello. My name is Sean Looley. I'm ringing you from Dublin from an organisation called NGFDGP. Might it be possible to speak to Mr. Robinson or an assistant or something?
I'm afraid he's gone. The office closes at 5 o'clock. What would it be a connection with?
Well, I'll tell you what it is now. NGFDGP stands for the National Gay Federation of Differently Gendered People. And, well, you see, we had this idea that we thought it might help for relations in Northern Ireland as well if there was a pink march in Northern Ireland.
Yeah.
And, you know, because I know that it's been contentious about orange marches and other sorts of marches. And we were just wondering about if we could get support from the political leaders in Northern Ireland for our pink march.
Well, I don't think you would get any support from the DUP, quite honestly.
Oh, why not?
Because they would be totally opposed to that sort of thing.
Well, you don't have any gay members in the DUP?
Well, none that have come forward and said to us that they're gay.
Oh, and you wouldn't support pink marches?
I don't think so. You would be better speaking actually to either Alan Ewart, who is the party secretary.
And is he gay, or does he support pink marches?
No, he's not gay. He's a married man with children. No, it's just he's the party secretary and he would be able to give you the party policy on that sort
All right,
of thing.
but you think they wouldn't really be for it,
I
no?
don't think so, no.
Oh, no, they don't support gay rights,
No.
really? Oh, I see, all right. Well, thank you very much,
Okay,
anyway. Bye-bye.
bye.
That's the whole problem. It's football, isn't it? You know?